A few days after we returned to port, I was called into the Admiral's office, where I was told something that made my stomach sink. U-55 would be withdrawn from frontline service, and I would have to relinquish command of her. During our patrols, the boat had gone through so many dives, depth charge, bomb and shell blasts, that the full integrity of the hull simply couldn't be guaranteed any longer. U-55 was to be retired from frontline service and furthermore used as a training boat. The Admiral, seeing my ashen face, quickly reassured me that I wouldn't be assigned to a staff role. I would receive a new command, a new submarine. U-80, a new Type 7C submarine, was being put into service, and it could be mine. I dared to voice one condition before I accepted. I would take my whole crew with me. He agreed, and I received orders to report to the Germania Werft in Kiel to conduct sea trials with my new command. Since this was still a Type 7 boat, the crew didn't need to be retrained extensively. The sea trials were soon completed, the boat outfitted for its first war patrol, and on the 16th of June 1941, we bid farewell to our loved ones and left Kiel. A few days earlier, all of us had received transfer papers. Our boat has been assigned to the 1st Flotilla. I have to admit that I was glad to be once again part of the 1st Flotilla. It brought back happy memories of U-8, my first command. The tiny Type 2 submarine that managed to punch way above its weight during the first year of this blasted war. Part of the 1st Flotilla also meant that we wouldn't be returning to Lorient. Our new base would be Brest, and Navan, France. Realizing that would bring me far away from the Admiral's headquarters, and all the boot-licking psychopaths that were swirling around it like flies were swirling around, well, you know what, made me even more happy. The C version of the Type 7 submarine didn't differ too much from the B version. It was slightly longer, displaced a few more tons, and it offered some mechanical improvements. I was also assured that the hull would be stronger, the welds better. It should be able to dive to greater depths, take more punishment. The conning tower was enlarged to accommodate the anti-aircraft gun. It was now no longer situated on the aft deck, but up on the conning tower, where it could be accessed quickly and with less disturbance from the waves. The slightly higher weight of the boat made it a little bit slower than the B version, but the difference was really minuscule. It was more than offset by the reassurances of the engineers that the boat would be able to dive to 200 meters without suffering any ill effects, and probably quite a bit beyond that. The crew relished the chance to sail on a new submarine. What was commented on the most was the smell. It smelled clean, new paint, freshly lacquered wood paneling, with a hint of lubricants. It was a far cry away from the nose-numbing stench of old diesel oil, of brackish water and sweat. And so the crew was in quite a joyous mood when we left our berth and headed for the entrance to the Kiel Canal. As we sailed through the canal, I thought about the current military situation. The losses that have been inflicted on the British by our U-boats are tremendous. If we just continue to inflict these losses upon them, they won't have a choice but to surrender at some point. They will simply run out of ships to transport war material to the British Isles. And more U-boats are being put to sea. The fleet is growing. Even the aid that they are receiving from the Americans shouldn't be sufficient to save them. There is something else that's happening. It seems as if something really big is being prepared. We have all noticed it. The ordinary soldiers have all but vanished from view. Their leave has been cancelled, they have been recalled to their units. We don't know what they're being prepared for, what they're being recalled for. Maybe they are being sent to Africa, where the battles are heating up. Or maybe they're being sent to France, maybe we will finally see an invasion of the British Isles. If England could be invaded, if our armies could just step foot on that island, this whole war would be over within a few months. But I have a feeling that that is not it. I don't think these soldiers are going west. I've spoken to other officers who have observed the same as I did. A lot of ships are transporting war material east. I can't say for which purpose this is happening. There aren't that many countries to the east of us that could pose a significant challenge. There's only one major country, the Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks. Maybe this is just a precaution against an attack by them. Or maybe these troops are destined to travel even further east than that. Maybe to Turkey, and beyond that to the Middle East, where they would open up a new front against the British in Africa. That would actually make a lot of sense, capturing the oil fields in the Middle East, putting more pressure on the British. Yeah, that would be a really good plan. Well, I guess as the saying goes, time will tell. We are exiting the Kiel Canal in the early morning hours, heading out to sea. A long voyage is ahead of us until we reach our new patrol area. It's going to take us all the way around the British Isles. Let's hope that we find some worthwhile targets on the way. Hello there and welcome aboard U-80. Our new command, our new submarine, our new replacement for good old U-55. I'm sure that U-80 will serve us just as well and will keep us alive throughout this terrible, terrible war that we are engaged in, but that we are just trying to survive until the end. And remember, this is a dead is dead campaign. If I get sunk, if I get killed, that's it. That would be the end. So, many of you have advocated for a Type 7 submarine, and here I am in another Type 7 submarine. For those of you who would have preferred to see me in a Type 9 submarine, I really do value your opinions, and I really considered it. I was very much on the edge, very unsure about what submarine to take, but in the end, the disadvantages of the Type 9 were just too great for me. The longer dive time, the bigger size, the lower maneuverability underwater, that especially. If I get depth charge in the Type 9 and I can't get out of the way of those depth charges, then yeah, that would be bad. That would be a bad ending for us. So in the end I decided, because of those reasons, to go with the Type 7, and also because I do want to achieve the impossible, or the almost impossible. I do want to survive the Atlantic War in a Type 7, being in the thick of the action, in the battle for the Atlantic, basically the whole time. Will I survive this? That's the great experiment that we are conducting, isn't it? Sure, I could take a Type 9 and go away to Asia, for example, to South America, South Africa, but it just isn't the same. It just isn't the same. The battle for the Atlantic, that's where the challenge is. That's what I want to achieve. But let me now talk about our current new patrol. So at the moment I am still, well, close to the Skagerrak actually. I'm just crossing the Jutland Bank and going into the Norwegian Trench here. I will follow the Norwegian Trench all the way to these very deep waters up here. We will sail all the way around the Faroe Islands. Then we will skirt around the Rockall Bank, far away from any enemy air bases, before we turn south towards our patrol area in CF 98. That's where we want to go. 6,000 kilometers of a journey for us. Our orders are to patrol down there, north of Madeira. Possibly we may encounter those, there are some convoys that are maybe heading towards Gibraltar, towards the Mediterranean, or out of there and back across the Atlantic. Maybe this area will be good for us. Maybe we will meet enemy targets along the way. Who knows? I just hope that we don't meet enemy aircraft. There is a good possibility for us to meet enemy aircraft somewhere in this area. Yeah, we are pretty soon entering enemy aircraft range. I just hope that the German aircraft stationed in Norway are capable enough to keep the enemy away from our route here. And of course, I guess Tórshavn will have an airfield as well. 900 kilometers is not the maximum range of those aircraft, by the way. That's just what I consider to be their effective zone, where where encountering a patrol is quite likely. So I will have a long trip through enemy air cover. Let's just plop down another here. Yeah, that will not affect me. If we assume that they have aircraft with a range of 1,500 kilometers, then my problem looks like this. In any case, I will be entering enemy aircraft range very soon. Most probably I'm already in it. But this is so far away that the patrols are infrequent. Let's just hope the enemy aircraft leave me alone. And then, of course, there will be Gibraltar. Gibraltar has a strong air presence. How far away is my patrol area? Oh, I think we'll be fine. Let's just assume a range of 1,000 kilometers, an effective range. Then we are out of it. I think we will be able to patrol here without having to worry too much about enemy aircraft, which is a very, very nice and welcome change of pace, I have to admit. And, of course, we do have our new boat, our new Type 7C submarine. Compared to our old Type 7B, this one is a little bit longer, slightly larger displacement, bigger conning tower. As you can very much tell, the conning tower is a lot bigger on this submarine. And our anti-aircraft gun is no longer mounted on the rear, it is now mounted on the conning tower, which, in theory, should make it easier to use that aircraft gun even in weather that isn't as nice. Unfortunately, this old simulation here doesn't care about the placement of your anti-aircraft gun. If the waves are too high, you can't use it. That's it. There are some values that you can adjust, but those can have unintended side effects. You can set the wave height up to which you are allowed to use deck-mounted weapons. And I do raise that wave height a little bit, I think to 9 meters. However, that also means that, for example, your watch crew will not don bad weather gear if the waves are lower than that. That's one side effect. Well, still pretty nice to have our anti-aircraft gun within reach, so to speak. What else is different about the Type 7C? The Type 7C compared to the Type 7B, as I said, it is slightly longer, slightly bigger displacement, really not a huge difference there, and it is just a little bit slower, both on the surface and submerged. Not by much, just a little bit. I think due to its length it's also slightly less maneuverable than the Type 7B. But the difference is completely negligible. It really is. There's really no huge difference there. We'll be fine. I'm sure we'll be fine. It would be very different in a Type 9. A Type 9 is huge. Absolutely huge. Massive even. and the maneuverability and its ability to speed up are not that great. Its top speed is, though. The top speed of a Type 9 is actually quite nice. But it takes some time to get up to that speed. A Type 9, a little bit more nimble. Yeah, that's the right word. It's a little bit more nimble, and that's what I prefer to use. A boat that allows me to get out of trouble more easily. Because I am damn sure that I will get myself into a lot of trouble. Yeah, it's impossible to avoid that. It really is. So let's make the best out of this. I will continue on our way. Continue down to our patrol area. And then I do hope that we will find some worthwhile targets along the way that we can use my torpedo loadout on. You will notice on this patrol I mostly have steam-driven T1 torpedoes, just a few T2 torpedoes, the electric ones. I have to make sure that I use those under the right circumstances. Disable auto-loading, please. Of course, plenty of ammunition for our deck gun, 220 shells, 20 illumination shells for the deck gun, and then 1,500 2cm shells for our anti-aircraft gun, which is nice. Good. Let's enjoy this very, very pleasant summer weather. This crystal clear and calm sea. For a little while longer, while we make our way into slightly colder waters, and then all the way down south here. Quite a journey, isn't it? It really is. Good. I'll continue, and let's see if we can actually find something along the way. The weather today really is lovely. It looks like such a beautiful day with completely clear skies, where we shouldn't have a problem spotting an airplane as it approaches us. So I think we are pretty safe on the surface for now. However, it is now the 19th of June 1941 and we are currently in AF76. For the first time on our journey we are entering really deep waters. Yeah, 370 meters below Kiel. So up until now, the deepest waters that we had were about 120 meters or so. Now we can really use this opportunity to see how well the boat performs when diving, because the boat was put into service, and sure, we had some training cruises in the Bay of Kiel here, or maybe up in the Kattegat even. But all of these are shallow waters, so the diving tests that we had were nothing spectacular. Nothing to really test the boat. And I think we'll now use the opportunity to see how well the crew and the boat perform. I think we will order a crash dive, see how long it takes us to submerge, and then we'll see how well the boat holds up to depth. That's something that was absolutely done in real life, so let's replicate that. I will give the crash dive command and we'll see how soon the boat will submerge. Okay, crash dive the boat.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin.
Good reaction from the crew. Good reaction time. Okay, 20 seconds. Down beneath 10, 25 seconds. That's pretty damn fast. 40 seconds to 30 meters. how long until
Derzeitige Tiefe 4,0.
50 meters at 55 seconds. This is quick.
Derzeitige Tiefe 5,0.
But keep going, bring me down to 160. Rapid dive, come on.
Derzeitige Tiefe 6,0.
Yeah, we are dropping nicely. I wish I could manually control the dive planes. But unfortunately that feature is not available in Silent Hunter 3. It is available. It is available in Silent Hunter 5 if you're using the Wolves of Steel mod. Then you can individually control the dive planes, which can be... Yes, I know, thank you. That can be really beneficial to do yourself. In fact, long ago, when I still had a really bad microphone, I did a tutorial video on why it is important to manually control the dive planes in Silent Hunter 5. I wish we had that. I wish we had that functionality in Silent Hunter 3, but we don't, unfortunately. That... Yeah, thank you. Okay, the boat is starting to level out. The hull is creaking. So far no seals have started to leak. 160. We are deep. Slow down the boat now.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Okay. So this is already a good testament to the boat's quality. A real good testament to its quality. I think the yard guarantee was to 150 meters for these boats. So we already exceeded that. But we should go deeper. The first stress test has been passed. I will now let the boat drop to 190.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Neue Tiefe 191.
In a controlled way. Slowly. And we'll see if it stays at that depth, if it has trouble keeping the depth, or if it remains stable. And we'll also see if we spring a leak somewhere. But what I wanted to say, before I was rudely interrupted by this guy, that is a question that actually popped up in my comments. From time to time it comes up. What is the difference between Silent Hunter 3 with the 1LX edition and Silent Hunter 5 with the Wolves of Steel mod compilation? And why am I playing Silent Hunter 3 with the 1LX edition instead of Silent Hunter 5 with the Wolves of Steel? Well, a direct comparison between the two versions of Subsim
Derzeitige Tiefe 170.
is valid. You can definitely directly compare the two with each other and see where the strengths are. In my opinion, Silent Hunter 3 with the 1LX edition is, unfortunately, I have to say, unfortunately superior to Silent Hunter 5 with the Wolves of Steel. That is not to say that the work that has been put into Silent Hunter 5 by all the modders and the author of the Wolves of Steel mod compilation, I don't want to belittle that work, far from it. What they have done is nothing short of a miracle. Anybody who knows how we are diving too deep, yes, that's the point. Anybody who has played or seen Silent Hunter 5 in its unmodded form can attest to that. That what the modders achieved is really nothing short of a miracle. Unfortunately, however, they were never able to fix all the issues, all the many issues Silent Hunter 5 had, and they will never be able to. You would need access to the source code for that. There's fundamentally so much broken in Silent Hunter 5 that it's unreal. There's still, even with all the mods, even with all the amazing things that the mods introduced, the amazing bug fixes, it's still not enough.
Derzeitige Tiefe 190.
That's creaking a lot. That is creaking a lot. So, we are now at 190 meters. Let's see if the boat holds this depth or if we start to sink. Nothing leaking. Yeah, it's a good boat. It has been built well. Very nice. The creaking is normal, I hope. Guys, why are you so nervous? Don't you trust the quality work done at the Kiel shipyards? Oh well, 192. We might be dropping. Let's see though. Yes, so Silent Hunter 5. Yes, while the mods did amazing work and really painted I can only compare it to a vessel that has received a fresh coat of paint and is very much looking nice and new and shiny, but beneath that fresh coat of paint there is rust. There's a lot of rust. It's rotting. That's Silent Hunter 5, unfortunately. Yes, it has slightly nicer graphics than this, although I really have to say Silent Hunter 3 doesn't look much worse than Silent Hunter 5, not at all. What the advantages that Silent Hunter 5 has, if you use the mod compilation, The Wolves of Steel. Advantage number one, you can walk around the boat, but hey, I can do that here as well, kind of. We don't have the whole boat to walk around in, because the unimportant areas have been removed due to stability reasons. But that's fine. I don't really need to go into the torpedo room. I don't really need to go into the engine room. All the important stations are here, and it's looking nice. The crew is nicely animated as well. Nicely voiced. Everything pretty alright. Another advantage that Silent Hunter 5 has is the real navigation mod that's part of the Wolves of Steel. That makes it so that you don't see your own position on the map. Not at all. You let a script run that plots your position. So basically your navigator every few hours or so plots your position. And once a day at midday he will take a celestial reading, will see if your position corresponds to the position of the stars. He does that at midday and I think at midnight. That gives him a relatively accurate position fix, and then he uses Dead Reckoning to get more and more position fixes. The funny thing about that is, if you're in really bad weather for a few days and he can't see the sun, he can't see the stars, he can't get an accurate position fix. And with each new reading, with each new estimation, the error increases so that you can end up somewhere entirely else. That, in a Silent Hunter 5 career that I played, has led to a very funny situation where I wanted to return to Wilhelmshaven. However, there was thick fog for a few days, and I didn't end up in Wilhelmshaven. Instead I ended up in Cuxhaven over here. And I needed some time to figure out where I was. That was quite an awesome experience, I have to say. Stumbling around pretty blind in the fog, seeing lights from a lighthouse, and then realizing that this place doesn't look like Wilhelmshaven at all. That was pretty nice. That's one advantage that Silent Hunter 5 is. Another advantage is, of course, the Enigma mod that's part of the Wolves of Steel. So you have a functioning Enigma machine that you can use to decode radio messages. That's pretty fun for the first 10 times or so that you do it. Then it gets very annoying. What else is there? Well, that's about it, I think. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, the torpedo dud and failure mod is a bit nicer than here in Silent Hunter 3. Mods can, I say, torpedoes can actually veer off course, can circle run back to your submarine, can go too shallow or too deep. So that's a bit more involved than here, where if a torpedo fails, it will simply go super deep and that's it. But that's about it. As a trade-off, Silent Hunter 5 has a ton of issues. The stability is miserable. I had a whole career, all the saves simply gone. And that was very brutal. I didn't touch another Silent Hunter game for a few years after that. The AI is pretty terrible, particularly the airplane AI is atrocious. If you dive, the airplanes simply forget about your existence. Here in Silent Hunter 3, even when you dive, the airplanes will still drop bombs or depth charges after you. In Silent Hunter 5 they won't. They just completely forget about your existence. Okay, I think it's safe to say that we are holding depth at 192 meters. We are not dropping further. This is looking nice. I now want to bring the boat back to periscope depth.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin.
And I want to know how fast can we do that in an emergency.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Beide Maschinen AK voraus.
That's putting a lot of stress on the boat, on the hull. It has been compressed, it now needs to decompress as we rise up towards the surface. I don't think that this is necessarily something that you would have been doing in real life. Not if you don't know the boat yet. But let's just see how long this takes. How long until we are back at periscope depth from 190 meters. At full speed. We are rising fast. We are rising very fast. So, considering the advantages and disadvantages of Silent Hunter 3 versus Silent Hunter 5, trust me, I've played both extensively. You're better off with Silent Hunter 3 with the 1LX Mod Edition. And it really saddens me that this is the case. I wish it was different. I wish that Silent Hunter 5 wasn't a complete mess of bugs somehow held together by a bunch of mods that fixed a whole lot of issues. I wish they really made a better subset, but they didn't, and so this game is the best that we currently have. Yes, there is U-Boat, but U-Boat has a whole bunch of other problems. We are gonna talk about those maybe another time. So, that should answer this question that was asked a lot in the comments. Silent Hunter 3 or Silent Hunter 5? Silent Hunter 3 all the way. For now. Okay, we are getting there. This is taking a long time. 2 minutes have passed. But we are almost there. Needle is climbing. Climbing, climbing, climbing. And periscope depth has been achieved after 2.5 minutes. Now the periscope would be broaching the surface. From 190 meters, 2.5 minutes, even while going at full speed. You can imagine how long this would take us if we were to stay at a slow speed. I think we would need 10 to 15 minutes to reach periscope depth. Slow down the boat.
Ein Drittel Fahrt voraus.
Good. In the position that we are currently in, I think we are safe enough to stay surfaced. I think so. If the weather remains as it is, we should be good to surface. and to stay surfaced. Still, as always, before we surface, always perform a periscope check. We have seen in the past how this can absolutely save your life. It doesn't take long. But you really don't want to surface in front of an enemy aircraft. Looks clear. Increase our speed again. Down periscope.
Volle Fahrt voraus.
Prepare to surface the boat. Picking up speed. Okay, auftauchen.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin.
Auftauchen. Vorne um 10, hinten kommen auf 5.
And the boat is surfacing nicely. Yes.
Erste Seewache sich klar machen.
We should switch to diesels. Yes, there we go. Okay, we're on the surface. The boat is still working on pumping out the last remaining water in the ballast tanks, but will be fully surfaced in just a moment. Slow down.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloin. Große Fahrt voraus.
Good. We will continue our way to the patrol area. See if there's something that happens along the way. Maybe something important. Who knows? Who knows? It is now the 20th of June 1941 and there has been... I don't want you to miss this. There's been some interesting radio messages going back and forth. So we have U-203 reporting to BDU. Report again, American cruiser Texas in blockade zone. Request permission to attack Mützeburg. So they were calling in the American cruiser Texas in an earlier radio message already, asking for permission to attack. They are now asking again, because apparently they didn't receive a response. They have now received a response from BDU to U-203 Mützeburg. According to the Führer's orders, all US ships and warships are neutral. Do not attack ships and planes until they are recognized as enemy. Ships without lights are not necessarily enemy, and do not forget to report your position. Yeah, so at this point already the Americans were starting to send their warships into, let's call it, contested waters. And there were some U-boat captains who saw that as, well, as something that should be punished. Because they considered that the Americans providing escort to the trade ships that were going towards Britain, they considered that a breach of neutrality. Now, of course, in Berlin they saw this a little bit different. They really didn't want a war with the US at this point in time. So they really didn't want the U-boats to start sinking American ships. However, incidents would happen later in the year, as the Americans increased their escort duties of the convoys, going further and further east to protect those ships, directly interfering with the U-boats' operations. And this radio message, this little exchange, is a nice example for that. So I really didn't want you to miss that. Ooh, you're kinda close. Right. We are continuing. As I said, it is the 20th of June 1941. Let's see what happens next. Today really is the day of interesting radio messages. It is still the 20th of June, And there's been another very interesting exchange that that shows another facet of this war at sea that is being fought. From U-123 to the BDU, from area DJ-1169. At 2010 attacked freighter, crew left ship. At 2019 fired one more torpedo and finished off by gunfire. Mistake was seen later. Sank Portuguese SS Ganda, 4,333 gross register tons. No entry in KTB yet. Hardegen. So Portugal, of course, at this point in time was neutral, cautiously friendly towards Germany, I would even say. But nominally neutral. So definitely not a ship that you want to sink. And Hardegen here, the last sentence, no entry in KTB yet. The KTB is the Kriegstagebuch, so the war diary of the U-boat. He didn't make an entry in the war diary of the U-boat about this sinking. Asking basically the BDU if he should make an entry or not. And if we look at the answer that the BDU sends, from BDU to U-123, Hardegen, nobody have to know of sinking of Ganda. Warn your crew, there was no meeting with the Portuguese at all. And there's that. A Portuguese ship has vanished. If its crew survives or not, debatable. If they do survive, well, they will have seen, they will be able to testify that the ship was torpedoed and then finished off by gunfire. Will they be able to say that it was a German submarine? Possibly. But will the crew even survive to tell the tale? Big uncertainty. That's a big uncertainty. What did he say? DJ-1169. So that is all the way... Where the hell is it? DJ? Here. Yeah, okay, so they could be close enough to shore to be picked up. However, officially, according to the Germans, officially this didn't happen. I wonder, when I read something like this, I do wonder if there are still sinkings of ships in World War II that can't be attributed to one side or the other. And maybe those ships sank due to an action like this here, and nobody took responsibility for it officially. I think there are a lot of tales out there where the whole truth, the whole story, will never be known. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Let's continue. Bad weather, grey skies. How fitting for today's events. It is the 22nd of June 1941, a day that will enter history as a big turning point in this war, as an event that really set things in motion that would ultimately lead to an outcome that is inevitable at this point, I think. So what happened? Well, Germany today, this morning, decided to invade the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, well, Stalin didn't see that coming. I guess he was surprised that for once he was the one being stabbed in the back instead of doing the stabbing. The Germans invaded the Soviet Union, surprising the Soviet command with the scale, the scope, the ferocity, and, well, even the invasion itself. They really did not expect it at this point. You have to remember, not too long ago, really not too long ago, Germany and the Soviet Union were still best buddies and together invaded Poland and divided it between each other. A fact that is conveniently forgotten in Russian history books. I'm sure. But something that the Russians would do well to remember. The Second World War didn't simply start with the German invasion of Poland. Not too long after the Germans invaded, the Soviets invaded from the other direction, making use of the situation that the Poles found themselves in, and the division of Poland had been agreed upon by both powers before the invasion in the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. Another thing that is conveniently forgotten in Russian history books, but they would really do well to remember. That's how the Second World War started in Europe. And it really can't be denied. There's a lot of denial, of course. When you bring up this topic, there's a lot of, no, we didn't invade Poland from the other side. We came to rescue it. Oh, to that I can only say, for Christ's sake, the Germans and the Soviets had victory parades together. I mean, how more blatant can it get? And also there are the agreements, there are signed agreements, so yeah. They are not fooling anyone, and history is not simply something that you can change for your own convenience. But alright. Now we have received some radio messages. First of all, early in the morning we have received the code word Dortmund, which was the code word for the start of the invasion. And then just now we have received a radio message to all U-boat commanders, OKM alert. Great Germany declared war on Soviet Russia this morning. We must protect Europe from the Bolshevik infection. That was the excuse given to Europe's nations. The excuse for why this invasion happened. It was the great fight against Bolshevism. Nothing else, I'm sure. But that was the excuse given. And I do wonder, I don't know, but I do wonder, what did the U-boat commanders at sea think of this? They were in a bitter struggle, a bitter fight against England, the nation that they perceived as their main enemy. And on the other side of the Atlantic, the USA, their boats were interfering more and more into this war that they were waging. So there was another big, great potential enemy on the horizon. What were the U-boat commanders thinking of these news? That Germany decided to invade the Soviet Union? Did they at this point think that maybe their priorities weren't in the right place? Did they maybe think, okay, why is the Soviet Union being invaded in a great crusade against Bolshevism, instead of assembling an invasion fleet, an invasion force to conquer England? I really do wonder what they were thinking. Were they as optimistic as the people in Berlin who thought that the Soviet Union would collapse in just a few months? I wonder. If you know of any accounts of U-boat captains, and you know what they thought about this whole affair, please let me know in the comments. I am really curious about that. So, for now, let us continue on our way, and let's see how our own little personal war here at sea develops. I hope we aren't knocked out in a few months, but I think we're good. I think we'll do just fine. This episode is really talking a lot about radio messages, but there is another gem of a radio message that I don't want you to miss out on. That's just great. a radio transmission from the Sofinformbüro, Germany. So basically, Soviet Information Bureau. Propaganda. At dawn on June 22nd, regular troops of the German army attacked our border units at the front from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea and were restrained by them during the first half of the day. In the afternoon, German troops met with the advanced units of the Red Army. After fierce battles, the enemy was repulsed with heavy losses. Only in the Grodno and Kristinopol directions, and the enemy managed to achieve insignificant tactical success. What a load of bullcrap that is. So basically, at this point of the day, the German army had overwhelmed the Soviet border defenders almost everywhere and were advancing in a lot of places very fast. The Soviet response was disorganized and slow. But this is the drivel that they actually sent out. This is what they claimed. And I can't help but draw certain parallels to certain events that are happening in our day and age. With a certain nation that likes to, how should I say, that likes to paint events in a certain way as to not appear too weak. You know? When ships don't sink due to explosions, but to smoking accidents, when ammunition depots blow up due to smoking accidents, when all that funny stuff happens. And it's always somehow not the fault of complete incompetence, corruption, and stuff like that. No, can't be. The enemy isn't advancing anywhere, comrade. Everything's fine. Oh boy. What a gem of a message. In hindsight, great stuff. Oh, don't get me wrong, the Germans had many such messages later on in the war. It was funny how all the victories started to happen closer and closer to home. I hope we'll get to that point so that I can laugh about it in this series. But yeah, let's continue.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloy.
Airplane sighted. Airplane sighted. What is that? Is it German or not? I don't think they spotted us, whatever it is. Periscope depth.
Auf Zero-Tiefe gehen.
Let's see. That might be a German. That's why I'm not diving too hard. Scratch that, definitely not German. Crash dive. Come on. We're beneath the surface already. Come on, dive. Change our course a little bit.
Neuer Kurs 249. Derzeitige Tiefe 3-0. Derzeitige Tiefe 4-0.
Ooh. Yep, definitely not German. Oh boy.
Derzeitige Tiefe 5-0. Derzeitige Tiefe 6-0.
I think we are safe now. And I think it's good that I made the turn. The bomb exploded somewhere to our front left. Oh, okay. That was exciting. Yeah. I'm as elated as you are that we survived that. But did you see something? I think, now that I recall this, what just happened in my head, First of all, it was just one airplane. Usually we see two. And second of all, that thing wasn't coming directly towards us. It was on a course that would have brought it straight past us if we have crash dived immediately. Maybe it wouldn't even have spotted us. Oh, I hear it. I guess it's making another run. Yeah, it's coming. Explosions to our rear. That's fine. That's fine. We are currently in AL32. We still have a long way to go. But we're getting there. Navigator, return us to our course.
Gehen wieder auf Kurs, Herr Kaloy.
So how far away are we right now from the closest British air bases? If there is one on the Faroe Islands, that would be about 1,000 kilometers. About 1,000 kilometers to the to these islands here, and about 1,200 kilometers to Northern Ireland. Good to know. So now that we have been discovered, we will actually go ahead and stay submerged for the rest of the day. It is early in the morning, so we are going to stay submerged the whole day. I wonder, would they have planes up in Iceland? Was that under occupation at this time with an airbase there? Not sure. That sounds like another attack run. Yeah. Drop more bombs. Slow us down. We can actually take a quick look at the plane. Why not? What are we dealing with? Ah, this is a nice plane. It looks a bit like a Wellington bomber, doesn't it? But it's not a Wellington, I don't think so. I think I've seen this one before, and a lot of you have pointed out in the comments what this is, but I'm sad to say that I forgot it. It does look very much like a Wellington. And I think it's going in again towards us. Well, we let him do his job. We will stay submerged for this day, and we'll remember that this area is being covered by air. If they do have an airbase somewhere up here, that would be pretty close to us. That could explain it. But I don't think they do, not at this point in the war. Anyway, we are continuing on our merry way. Before we end today's episode, in which unfortunately no enemy ships were harmed, I would like to add a few things. First of all, I would like to apologize for not releasing an episode for so long. I've actually been on vacation for a few weeks, then I fell ill during the last days of my vacation, so that put me out of service for another week. And then my CPU water cooler started to act up and my CPU temperature spiked to an astonishing 110 degrees. That was fun. Air had accumulated inside my water pump, and so until I had that sorted out, another few days passed. But now we should be back on track with regular releases. During my vacation I've taken a few nice pictures where I try to put into perspective how difficult it can be to estimate the range to a ship and even to estimate its size. Those pictures were well liked by the people that have seen them. I have put them on the community tab of my channel, so if you haven't seen them, go and take a look. They're quite interesting. I managed to take those pictures looking through binoculars, so That wasn't easy, I can tell you, but I somehow managed it. It was quite a fun little experiment. Well, apart from that, there's something else that I want to say. A question that I want to preempt that is maybe being written into the comments of this video right now. If the Type 7C submarine isn't so different from the Type 7B submarine, why upgrade at all? You see, we were basically at the limit of what we can do with the Type 7B submarine when it comes to upgrades. We were stuck with the small conning tower. The Type 7C opens the way to many different upgrade options. We have a larger conning tower. We will have different options when it comes to anti-aircraft armaments, radars, etc, etc. That's the reason why you go to the Type 7C. Or well, why you go away from the Type 7B. It really opens a lot of possibilities that I'm really looking forward to exploring. If we can survive that long, that is. But I'm, as always, hopeful. I really am. I think this campaign will be really amazing. This patrol will be really amazing. Our patrol area should be more or less in the way of convoys traveling to Gibraltar, so I think we will see a lot of action, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. There's another thing that I want to mention, and I want to mention this now before you guys get worried. In the next weeks, I think weeks, I will activate channel memberships on my YouTube channel. Now, don't panic, I'm not doing this stuff for the money. I think that people who are going into YouTube, who are making YouTube videos, hoping to build a career with YouTube, are maybe a little bit naive, maybe a little bit foolish. Because you're building a future on sand, you really are. YouTube can any day, and many YouTubers have discovered that, at any point in time YouTube can change their policies. And what if they one day decide they don't want any content in regards to gaming? They don't want any content where even a virtual entity, a virtual person, for example, is harmed in any way. If YouTube decides that, a lot of channels will be nuked. So, I'm not in this for the money. I have a regular job that is also taking a lot of time for me, but that I enjoy doing. And I do not require having YouTube as a career. So I only activate the channel memberships because in the past some people have been donating a little bit to the channel, which I really do appreciate, and I know there are people out there who would like to support a little bit in some way. So I'll give them the opportunity to do so, but I will not be following the steps of many other YouTubers and hiding content behind a paywall or something like that. I think that's silly to do, and I'm watching that development on YouTube with great concern. You see a lot of these big YouTubers that have built careers around YouTube. YouTube is their full-time job, and they see their revenue going down hard with YouTube. So they are seeking other ways to make money by, for example, moving their content to their own websites where it's basically locked behind paywalls. I see that happening more and more, and I really don't like it. And I'm not going to go that way. So I will be offering a channel membership if you wish to support the channel, but you are not obliged to do so. It's completely voluntarily, and I'm not moving anything behind any form of paywall. So that's the news for now. Once again, I would like to thank you for watching today's episode. I do hope that you have enjoyed it, and I do hope that you will let me know in the comments what you think about it. And I also do hope that you will maybe share it around a bit, get a few friends hooked on this. The series has been going on for quite some time. I don't know of any other Silent Hunter series on YouTube where someone has recorded it constantly while staying alive for so long. So I think I'm already holding some kind of record. And that's awesome. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Until then, have some really great days and goodbye.